Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Bit of a workshop video today. I doubt YouTube will monetize this, so I'll just probably put it up as it is. They don't like too much technical detail, but I want to share something with you today because this is a little, I won't say a challenge, but a little quirk that's been highlighted to me and something that might be useful for some of you to know. This is a CZ455 rifle in 17 HMR. I've got some pest control jobs to do with this, and I've been using the PARD DS35 on it, both V1 and V2 over the last year or so. What I want to do though is look at some of the mounting issues with different scopes on some rimfires. Now you can see at the moment it's actually set up just on the original 11mm dovetail with airgun rings, which is all fine, but it's a little bit cramped for actual eye relief on it, and as you can see the scope is pretty much wedged all the way forwards. Now, from years gone by, I did actually have one of these, which was a slot over Picatinny rail for it. This is from Country Sports Wholesale. And this had 20 MOA inclination on it. For whatever reason, I got it some years in the past. That was what I needed it for. And of course, when you physically incline the scope, it kind of goes like that effectively, because that's giving you the barrel up and it's giving you more long range potential, hashtag. But in certain circumstances, you don't want that, because regardless of whether it's night vision or daylight optics, some daylight optics don't have the mechanical adjustment range capable of giving you a zero at say 100 meters or whatever your preferred zero distance is, and unfortunately because you've got that inclined rail you can't actually cope with that. Night vision scopes similarly don't have a huge amount of travel because they're not really designed as hashtag long range. That's not to say they're not perfectly good for sporting ranges, and you know you'll easily get 200, 300, 400 meters out of a lot of them, but that's no good if you can't zero it as normal. Now Country Sports Wholesale, which is on here, you can probably see that on there, which way is up, is up, side, right way up. They've sent me another rail, and this is a zero inclination rail, so there's no zero MOA, so it's just flat, pretty much as the same rifle used to be. And this looks side by side pretty much identical, as you can see on camera here, but the back end of the rail on the inclined one will probably be a little bit thicker, as you can see there, because that is effectively, of course, tipping the scope up or down more. So I'm just going to show you me putting this on the rifle, just so you can see this is the kind of thing you can do. Now the other reason for putting this Picatinny rail on is because either one, whether it's 0 or 10 MOA, if you look at the actual dovetail rail on here, in fact I'll do that when this scope's off. So I'll just pop this scope off, this will just slide out of the way. I'm going to remount it a bit later on, I might even do that on video for you all. Make it quite a long video, but there we go. So just pop that off. So if you look at the maximum mounting space we've got there, and then if we then put that rail next to it, look, we've probably got another 10, 12 millimeters further forwards we can actually put this scope, which can be a very critical factor. So this is that's the old 20, this is the new 0. So this will just slide on here and go all the way forwards like that, and it's got a cutout for the magazine well. And that also means you've got a little bit more space for the ejected brass to come out there. And then if we look in this little packet here, we have got a very tiny Allen key and some grub screws. If I lose one it doesn't matter because I've got some spares, but there we go. Now you'd think this might actually mark the top of the receiver, but that other rail has been on for some years, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiny little dots on there. It's not the end of the world, is it? And it is giving you far more versatile and modern scope mounting capability. And of course there are a lot of night vision thermal imaging sites which are not actually ring capable, so you've got to use their inbuilt Picatinny mounting system. So if I just wind that in gently and just nip that against the action, and my fingers in there just making sure those two edges are flush, it's not actually super critical, it just looks neater. So I can then just nip that in, put them all in. I'll do the center ones first just because that locks position. I won't tighten them all down, and with it being a very small Allen key, it only looks like maybe a 1.5 or 2 millimeter Allen key, but it's been supplied by Country Sports Wholesale with the rail, so you're not, searching around for tools. I probably have 100 of them, but it's nice that everybody's catered for, not just we, dare I say, professionals. Pop that in there, pop that in there. just wind those down. I can just feel they're just touching down onto the receiver. I'm not going to put them down particularly hard because of course you've no massive recoil to cope with, and as long as the scope isn't moving, we've got no issue with that. Oop, upside down. Pop that last one in there. So fast forward to this, go make a cup of tea if you want, but here we are, here's the details. If you want workshop videos, you know, workshop videos are sometimes a bit slower. So I'm just going to nip those up gently, just going to start with the front one, and then I'm going to do the rear, just sort of fingertip on the end of that Allen key, because I can sort of judge by the amount of bend in the Allen key how much actual torque we're putting on. It's not excessive. It's really just a nip position, because the dovetail fit on that rail is actually very precise, and you could see once it went on, there was no wobble in it at all, and it was actually just a little bit of ease forward just to snug it in position, and that's all a good sign of both accurate precision machining from CZ and also accurate precision machining from Country Sports Wholesale. So just pop those in, same sort of tension on them all, keep it nice and balanced. Make sure the Allen key stays in the socket. Oh, just got that one just nipped a little bit. And there we are, we're all in. Now, the question now is, which rings shall I use? So, I've got some Element Optics Picatinny rings. Those are the high. I don't think we'll need the high actually. We'll probably get away with the medium ones, which are here. It's not a huge front end on the DS scope, so I'm going to put that one right at the front. Just nip that on finger tight for the moment, because I need to grab some more tools to actually take the old rings off the scope, and I'll probably put that one, let's go, no, it looks like I need some tools, 1 second. Back in the room. So that's a 13mm spanner. Pop that on there. Now, although this is, you know, a full-size spanner effectively for a 13mm nut, given the length of it, that doesn't need to be more than really just finger tight on it, because there's quite a lot of torque applied by the length of the spanner, of course, and that's really just enough there. So now I need to take the rings off this scope. So let's just move the gun to one side. That will go in there. Sometimes I'm lazy and using the electric one for this, although actually I'm not sure it's any quicker than using the torque wrench, which has got a little bit of mass to it, and it just spins under its own momentum there. Now this is a DS70, I think that is a DS50. Yeah, and I've also got I've got a spare DS70 as well, because I use them on pest control rifles and foxing rifles. And when I say pest control, rabbits, hares. I've been doing a lot recently on rabbits and hares, because I do a lot for falconers, and of course rabbits and hares are great for falconers, especially the rabbits, but you need to make sure they're shot with non-toxic, because birds of prey do not like anything to do with lead at all. Let's just get these all off here. I'll probably just fast forward this on screen. I'll put all that back together later. So now, here we are with our element rings on the Picatinny rail. So similarly, I'm just going to spin these out. You can see the weight of that torque wrench is great because it has momentum, and you can just give it a flick like that. Interesting thing to tell you now about really good rings. The steel on the bolt and the aluminium of the ring are so well finished that you get a lovely smooth feel. They're not gritty, and you're not kind of grinding as you're tightening things up. That means that when you actually do apply the correct torque, which in this instance Element will probably tell you in inch pounds, I tend to work in Newton meters because I'm a bit of a metric guy, but when you've got a fairly low torque value like 2 Newton meters for these, you want a nice smooth fitting. So we need to move that one a little bit further forward, and then the more smoothly that thread runs, the more accurate the torque value you're actually going to apply to it, because you're not overcoming the friction within the system, within the mechanics. You're actually entering the correct torque value. So there we go, that should be on there now. That is on there perfectly. If I wanted to, I could probably nudge it a teeny bit further forward, but I know from experience that that is correct now. So all I have to do is put this back together, which you've probably seen me do 100 times in various videos, but I'll just show you one more time since it's here and now. And I probably need to go and get a battery for this as well, because obviously I can't turn it on, I can't see the reticle without a battery in it. But I'm just going to nip those up, just finger tight. In fact, that's just the momentum of the torque wrench there. Again, you can see just how smoothly these bolts rotate. There's no excess torque required whatsoever. And then now, once I've put the reticle on, I can straighten it up as I want it. Various people have all sorts of different super complex methods, which would make a whole video in its own right. But I personally move my head back from the scope and I align the bottom post of the reticle with the centre of the back of the bolt. If better still, if there's a firing pin on the back of the bolt, and I just align it centre. And do you know what? No one ever seems to pick up my rifles and says, your scope looks bent, your scope looks misaligned. And frankly, these are not super long range target rifles, these are hunting rifles. That's the system that works for me. So there you go. Right, I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of a video there on setting things up. And I'll just show you, once it's aligned straight, I go in diagonal sequence, just nipping them up in series, because that way you don't turn the scope from where you've just set it, and you make sure you're not crimping anything, and you can see the amount of torque, the amount of force I'm needed to click that at 2 Newton meters, which you might even see set in the little window there. Right, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been helpful. I hope you've learned a little bit. So please like, subscribe, comment, tell me your thoughts, because that's what drives the channel. And make sure you click the notification bell, because that will keep you in touch with the regular weekly uploads. And there's often 2-3 videos a week going up. Please go through to the end of the video, click on the link for the British Shooting Show and buy your tickets for the 2024 show. It's in February down at the NEC. It's going to be a superb event. So make sure you book your tickets to go. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.